We're here again.
We are?
I don't know what number we're on.
I don't know either. We should
I've
probably know that.
Kind of lost count.
Yeah,
But
me
hey,
too.
that's a good thing. It means we've crossed that at least 10, 11, 12
Yeah.
thresholds. So
And we're mobile.
we're mobile. We are in a new location,
Undisclosed location.
undisclosed. That'll be disclosed later. Hopefully, there is some background noise and there's probably a little bit of echo. We're in an atrium. Gorgeous location, by the way. It's just beautiful setting. But we are mobile.
In a different state for the first time.
Look at all these first.
And we have our friends in the background, which will likely come by and try to harass us while we're doing this.
Yeah, we'll probably
because
have a
they're
live.
friends, and we love them.
We heard that they might be streaking. I can't confirm or deny. We're hoping that.
And that's why we're not on video.
Well, we also have another. Well, it's not really a first, but we have someone. Well, kind of. This is the first of having someone with us for the entire podcast.
Right. For the sit down.
For the sit down,
Yeah.
right? Not like a little impromptu.
Special guest kind of thing.
This is. So today we have with us Full Send John.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here.
How's it going, man?
Going good, thanks.
Glad to have you here. We've talked about you in the past.
I heard that.
Yeah, we talked about Full Send John. I think that name is. You haven't probably listened to the episode. Have you heard the episode yet about where we talked about why we call you Full
No,
Send?
I'm going to go check that out for sure.
You got to listen to it. There's a reason why we call you Full Send John. And it's not a negative. It's a compliment to you.
Yes.
100%.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes,
I'll have to make
absolutely.
sure to listen to that.
Well, and then we also have we have a name for Gene now. It's Hypermiler Gene.
But I don't know if it's a compliment. I guess it could be.
I mean, I guess it depends on what type of group you're hanging with.
That's
but
true.
We'll just leave it at that. Hypermiler Gene.
And we still have to come up with a name for you.
We do.
But it's got to flow naturally. It's
Awesome
gotta,
is pretty good.
No, I wasn't going to go with that.
I mean, that flows just off the tip of my tongue. Awesome.
I feel dirty saying that. It doesn't make me feel good. Let's
see what you had to put up with? I'm
let's
telling
let
you.
it come naturally.
Yeah, I think that's the best. We'll let it come
In
naturally.
the course of time.
We'll see how it plays out. Okay, cool beans. So we're going to talk about stuff that we've done since the last time, and I'll go ahead and get started. So John can he'll have a chance to think about some things. A story I'll tell. DOT versus DOL. So the other day I get a letter in the mail from the DOT, and the letter stated that I have a ticket because I drove in the HOV lane, but I wasn't an HOV person. You know, they got the cameras on the toll on the 405. So I get this, I'm looking at this letter, and the first thing that I looked at was the date. And the date was the time that I was actually in Lake Tahoe. That couldn't even be me. Like, that's not even possible. I was physically not in the state. So I'm like, oh, God, how's this even, how'd they even reference this? So I looked at the tag, and I'm like, I don't even recognize the tag number. So I went outside, I looked at all the vehicles, and I don't have that tag. So I'm like, okay, I don't even know how this is linked to me. So I called in. Actually, I went to the website. Tried to go on the website, and if you dispute it, you have to give like all kind of hard documentation, not like you write something up. You have to submit like official forms and stuff. So I'm like, forget this. So I call them. I wait 20 minutes the first time. Person picks up and hangs up the phone on me. So I'm like, so I'm already upset now, right? So I called back another 15 minutes. So finally get a person on the phone, and I describe, I got this ticket. I was actually out of state. And by the way, I don't even know what tag this belongs to because I don't own this tag. And so the lady's like, it looks like a boat. I don't even own a boat. I don't have a boat. She's like, yeah, it looks like a boat. I'm like,
So hold on. So they caught you allegedly on a boat in the left lane. Is that
I
what
know
you said?
it. In the HOV
In
lane.
the HOV lane.
Yep.
In a boat.
In a boat. That's what I was laughing
let's
at.
just leave it at that right there.
Because that's
Go
how
ahead.
she said it.
Continue on.
She said it's a boat. So I'm like, how do you even put a boat on the interstate?
Because
right?
that's how you roll. You're the boat driver.
the boat driver. So I'm like, hey, I don't own a boat. And by the way, I was out of state. And she's like, well, this shows that you're there. I'm telling you, I don't own a boat. So she's like, well, you need to go to DOL and go get us proof. What do you mean I need to do this? She's like, well, you need to contact them and get proof that you're not the owner. Wait a minute. how did you get my information to begin with? And she said, DOL. How about you contact DOL and you verify this isn't me? And she's like, we can't do that. Wait a minute. The DOT and the DOL, you just said you got it, but you can't call them. No, we're not allowed to call them.
Tell me this is a government operation without saying it's a government operation.
I told the lady, I said, look, this is not directed at you, but this is why people get so frustrated at government because of this type of nonsense. I take time out of my day to go futz with this stuff and then upload it to you for something that I never did. Yes, sir, that's correct. Okay, so the next day, I go to the DOL. I stand in line 20 minutes. This is the end of the month, so you know it's going to be busy. I stand in line for about 20 minutes. I finally get there. Now, I have my daughter in the car. I'm in the Blackwing. My daughter's in the car. She has cross-country practice. I need to get there quick.
No, she can just run there. It's cross country.
Well, my daughter even said, hey, Dad, don't worry if we're late. I can just run to practice. Now, it was about 3 miles away. So she could, but I'm like, hopefully it'll be done. So I'm waiting. I finally get at the door. So I'm the next person up. I'm at the door. But I literally have 3 minutes before I need to leave. So this lady's walking in, like one of the, I don't know, she's someone working there. I'm like, how late are you open? She said 4. I'm like, oh, crap. I said, it sucks. I'm right here at the door, but I might have to leave in a few minutes. She went and told the next person who I was going to be going to. She must have told something to them, like, hey, this guy's in a rush or something. She calls me up there, and she had an attitude. She's like, yeah, what is it? I'm like, I got this ticket, and I have to, I don't own the vehicle, but they said I do. I need some type of proof of documentation or something. And, oh, by the way, I need to leave in a couple minutes. She's like, well, we'll see. We'll see what we can do. Okay. So she looks it up, and
She probably thought you Karen.
Yeah, probably,
She
right?
thought you were her Karen. For
I
the
know,
day.
right. She thought I was going to be that one, right? She pulls it up, and she's like, can you guess what she said?
I already know the story, so really,
It
can
looks
John
like,
guess?
she said, oh, it looks like you had a boat. I'm like, I don't have a boat. I never had a boat. She's looked it up. She's like, yeah, this looked like you had a boat. I'm like, I'm telling you, I don't have a boat. Never had a boat. And she said, you sold it in July. Now, she's kind of snarky. You sold it in July. I'm like, I didn't sell anything in July. I don't own a boat. I never had a boat, and I definitely didn't sell a boat in July. I sold some jet skis about 3 years ago, typing on the keyboard. Oh, yeah, you're right. It was July 2021, and it was a jet ski.
Jet ski, boat, same thing.
I'm like, okay, there's a difference.
2021, 2024, same thing.
I'm like, there's a difference. And then as she's typing on the keyboard, she's like, oh, it looks like you turned in the paperwork for, when you sell something, you got to turn in the ticket to, or the paperwork to Washington State. Oh, you actually turned it into our office. At that moment, her attitude completely changed. Like, then she's like, hey, this guy's done everything right. He's stuck in the system, right? So then she's super helpful. Now, I'm late at this point. My daughter's going to be late. But she actually fills out the paperwork and says, you need to go here, you need to get this. And she's like, oh, by the way, you have more tickets coming to you.
Oh, no.
So this guy's been driving through the HOV lane, towing my old jet skis and getting tickets, and they're going to be all coming to me. That happened. That happened right before we came here, okay? Prior to that, how many do you guys change? Well, I don't even know why I asked Sheen this. Let me ask John this. John, do you change your oil?
No, I don't change my oil. I have someone else do it for me.
My oil was delivered while we're on this trip, so now I can change it.
Okay. Gene, he changes oil. John doesn't. I'm going to change the oil in the Z06, okay? Because I've had a lot of track days, and I haven't changed it. And so I'm like, man, I'm really behind. I need to change the oil. So I put up on the lift. You haven't, well, on the Z06, there's 2 places, in the sump and in the normal oil pan.
Yep.
And then the oil filter. So I guess there's 3 locations that you have to drain it in. Drain all the oil. It's like 8 quarts. It's like a lot of oil, right?
Yeah.
We have some food coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is looking good. We'll come and get it. Okay, you can, bring it over.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we're doing a live podcast, so that, hey,
Live
all
podcast while we're eating dinner.
all things go, right? This how we roll.
Chicken, yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. So here we have, I'll describe, we've got a bacon cheeseburger. with fries.
Yes.
We've got a We've got a chicken burger. Ooh, that looks really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got a chicken burger with fries, and then I've got fish and chips. It actually looks really good.
Well, they do actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah. I drain the oil. I get, like I said, 8 quarts go in. Now, I've got I don't know how big it is. I want to say that my tank can hold 20 gallons of oil, so it holds a lot of oil. And it's one of those that have the riser that goes up, so you can get it really close. You won't spill any oil, because I'm really particular about my garage and my floor, and right.
That's an understatement.
So I drained it all. I had a couple other vehicles. I did all the oil change, and so it's about halfway full. So I want to get rid of some of it because I've got more oil changes coming. So the tank, you can pressurize the tank to make it super easy to empty out. You pressurize it, flip open the nozzle, and that drains into whatever you want to take to the recycle plant. This is the first time I've done it, okay? I know that by pressurizing the tank, it's going to make the oil flow pretty quick. And so I'm like, I got to make sure that I disconnect that so I don't overflow the container that I'm putting the oil in. I'm in my garage when I do this, okay, which I shouldn't have been, but I'm in the garage. So I pressurize the tank, it starts flowing, and it's flowing really like super nice, just like directly into the container, and it gets about 3/4 of the way full. I'm like, okay, this is good. I need to shut it off. And so the valve is closed, so no more air from the compressor is coming into the tank, but the tank is still pressurized. So it keeps coming, and I'm like, crap. So I pull the release valve, like on a compressor, the release valve. So on the tank, because it's pressurized, it still has a release valve. I pull it, so it's releasing pressure, but it's still pumping oil out.
Did oil come through?
Oil
Pressure?
came out of the container, not out of the pressure valve, but where the tube that's going into the container. Oil is coming out at a rate of probably about a half a quart, 10 seconds. So then like 20 seconds, I've got a quart of oil. It's probably faster than that, because by the time I finally realized, open the valve to the oil tank to release the pressure up a big hole. As soon as I did that, it goes psh, and then oil spouts up in the sky. And I'm looking down, and I probably have, I'm not going to lie, 3 gallons of oil spread across my tile that went through the tile and now is spreading rapidly.
And you have racetracks.
I've got the racetrack, and it's all covered, and now it's spreading through the whole floor. So I'm quickly trying to pop all the tiles up. I don't have, like kitty litter, something to pull the oil.
Yeah, dry material.
Yeah. I only have a little bit left. A little bit. I throw that down. It's not doing a thing. I go get an entire roll of shop towels and just throw it down. I think I probably used 100, 200 towels trying to dry this up. I was you have no idea how mad I was. I was really...
Oh, I know you. I know that's your pride and joy. I can imagine the terror you were going through.
And
it makes me smile. With love, though, obviously. With love.
See what I have to put up with.
I don't know. That's the way it goes.
That was a mess. It took a long time to clean up the mess. Our buddies are waving. So I got the oil cleaned up.
Pretty soon the streakings is going to start.
Yeah, pretty soon. So I got that cleaned up. I let it dry, so then I went on a trip, and so I opened the entire floor up, and so then everything could just air out and dry. So when I came back, everything had dried up, and then I could put all the tile back down. That was my fun. Actually, I did a couple things with Gene, who's going to talk about.
I'll talk about that. So you can eat.
But that was those were my things about spilling 3 gallons of oil on the floor, and then my fun that's still not over with DOT and DOL. I still have to deal with that when I get back, because there's more paperwork that I have to get to then submit.
You may have to get a lawyer involved. If they're going to keep sending you tickets.
What the lady told me is that once I get this,
Jack Motto.
I don't think I need to. I think that what she said is that once I get this, whatever this paperwork is that I have to submit for, that she helped me fill out, once you get that and send that in to the DOT, that will then sever that link between
Oh,
me
okay.
and that license plate.
Yeah.
That link will be severed at that point. So I shouldn't have the issue anymore. The fact that DOT can't talk to DOL and they have to use the citizen to take time out of their day to go do it, I think it's just so ridiculous. So anyway, so that's what I've
That's
been
ludicrous.
up to. So Gene, let's talk about you talk about your side. What
Yeah.
have you been doing?
I'm good, man. A couple weeks ago, Dan and I were texting with some guys, and we said, hey, let's go for a cruise. We just feel like going for a cruise. Actually, I was at your house.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm thinking about going for a cruise tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, I may be able to go. So then some text later on the night, we decided, let's go. So we met up the next morning at 6:15 in the morning, which means I had to get up at like 5.
Yeah. I was up at like 5:30.
Yeah. I drove out there to meet with Dan, and we decided, let's just, he was in his Stingray, not the Z06, but the C8 Stingray.
Top down.
Top down. It wasn't hot. It wasn't that cold though.
It was
It
nice.
was a nice morning though. It really was. And we decided we're just going to find some roads and just go bombing in the back, the backwoods somewhere. Just go have some fun. We ended up going out to this place called Elba. And in order to get there, there's a lot of roads that are switchbacks, a lot of twisties.
John, we went there.
Lots of undulation. It
Yep.
was a ton of fun. And on the way out there, there's one particular section. It's kind of going up through the mountain and then down. That was absolutely some of the most fun driving. I think we had one car that slowed us down.
That was it.
That was it on the way out there. And we were flying. And if you're a police listening, we were flying at speed limit.
We were going fast
At speed limit.
at speed limit.
Yes, we're going to go with that one. But it was a ton of fun. And at some point, I started driving like it's on the track, like cutting over to the next lane and trying to. It was a lot of fun. We get to Elba, and right across from Elba, where we parked actually, was this place called the HOA Inn. The HOA Inn actually used to be there used to be in the caboose of the HOA Inn. There was a pizza place, and we did a V Club event there. I think I held that, I don't know what, John, 4 years ago, something like that. It was a great event, great pizza. They closed shop, unfortunately. The HOA Inn is actually converted train cars that they're all very, very colorful, and you can rent them out for the night. So it's a neat concept of what are you going to do with trains that are sitting there in a yard on the train track by the side of the road, and they just turned it into, I wouldn't say a cash cow. I bet they don't have very many people going there in Elba, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was just so cool. And then on the way back, the same road, we kind of reversed and went down most of the same road, at least until we got into, what was it? What's the town we stopped off at Coffee? Where we stopped off at I can never think of the name
What's
of
the
that
place where we stop at coffee, John, on the way out there?
Just outside of Elba.
Can't remember the name of the place, but
Yeah, it doesn't
can't
matter.
remember.
But on the way back, we kind of went back the same route, and we had no traffic. No one was in front of us.
Yep.
Dan's leading the route, and I'm trying to catch him. He's got a C8, and that thing's just booking, and I am floored. I am having so much fun. RPMs are staying at 5,000 RPMs in second and third gear as we're going through all these switchbacks. I'm eating through quite a bit of gas, and no cars got in the way. So we unencumbered, having some fun. And the views out there, if you haven't been out there, they're stunning. They
Oh.
really are beautiful.
The lakes that you
The
go by.
lakes. Yeah, there's a big lake out there. It's actually not even it's a lake, but it's a dam.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dam, and it's just beautiful. So we stopped off for coffee and decided, well, let's go do another drive and find a different area, and then we'll go do a car show. So we ended up going to another area, kind of behind where Dan lives, in his town, behind a couple of towns behind where he lives.
Yep.
And at some point, I look down. We're going down the street, and I don't know where we are. I have no idea where we are. I'm completely
He's
lost.
never been to this location.
Never been to this location.
I haven't taken you either, John.
Yeah, but the road it's not the best road, but it was still a fun, meaning in quality of the road. The switchbacks and the speed we were taking was great. The views were amazing. At some point I looked down and I've got 77 miles on left to empty. When I started the morning, I had 290. So we get to where we're going, and actually the road dead ends at a park, right?
It's a ranger station.
It's a ranger station, okay. And we're down there by the water because there's the glacial river out there. What's the river?
I think,
Not Coronado.
Carbon River.
Carbon River, yeah. Beautiful area. Took a couple pictures, got back on the road, and I looked at Dan, I said, yeah, I need to get gas.
There is no gas anywhere close.
No close. And he says, yeah, I don't. I get 280 miles left or something stupid like that. Man, you suck. It was fine, and I only needed like 30 miles to get to where we were going.
Yeah.
But just the cruising was amazing that day. The weather was beautiful. It was so much fun.
That bridge.
Oh my God, that bridge! Yeah, there's this weird bridge that you have to go through, and there's no light. Like if you go through a bridge where there's only one car can be on the bridge at a time and in one direction, you kind of have to look and see who's coming, and you kind of have a gentleman's agreement who's going to go next. At one point, we were going across. Dan had the clear lane. He goes
I was
across.
on there first.
Yeah, he was on there first.
Yep.
Some guy decides to go on there and then try to steer his car in front of Dan's. Like that's a Karen move. He tried to steer his car in front of Dan's, and then flipped him off, and then
Yep,
kept
told me
driving.
I'm number one.
Yeah, he told me he's number one. Yeah, but with your middle finger. That's weird.
That was a shock. So when we were going across, and I see the guy, I'm like, why is he not waiting? Like, I'm already on the bridge, and the bridge can support it.
Yeah.
But like Gene said, it's really narrow, so you always wait for the next person. But this guy didn't want to wait. And so we're on the bridge, and Gene's behind me, and then this guy comes on the bridge. We can't back up. And this guy, as he's getting closer, he turns his steering wheel over his lane, which is not really a lane. There's really one lane, but he turns it directly facing me. And so I had to slow down, and then he pulled back over on his side, and then he flipped me off. And I'm like, he must have thought, I guess he never saw me, even though I was on the bridge first. He must not have seen me.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
But I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, why are you trying to...
Yeah, I think he just didn't see you.
But those were good. Those were really good driving areas.
Those were some amazing driving areas. We ended up in Buckley. It was Buckley,
Yep.
right? Or was it Bonnie Lake?
Yeah, we ended up in Buckley.
Yeah, we ended up at Buckley. Yeah, we parked the cars, went to downtown Buckley. They had a car show there. So, there was, I think the most exotic car there was the Lotus.
Yep.
I think the new Lotus was there.
Yep.
So it was the most exotic car there. It was more of a traditional, especially in that country area, more traditional muscle cars.
Muscle car.
They had some Corvettes and Camaros, but they had 55 Chevrolet Bel Airs. They had a 55 convertible and a 55 coupe. We talked to the guy with the coupe. That was my car. That was
really cool.
Full on pro touring 55, but done very classic with the red and the off white. Stunning car. But it was actually it was a small show, but it was really a cool little show. I think what was a gem of the whole thing, there's two things that was a gem. One was we walked by this building, and this building
Oh man, I
had
forgot
a
about that.
private collection in it, which somebody tells us that they never opened that. Whoever owns that private collection does not ever open it.
Yeah.
It actually was an old bank. And had these huge bank vault doors,
They had vault doors that
with
they had stuff
Ducatis,
inside
and
it.
remember they had the Ducatis
The
and
Ducatis.
the
Yep.
bikes that are in there. So we kind of walked around in there for a little bit. We don't know who the owner was. If they were there, they were so nondescript we couldn't tell. But we were very thankful that they opened it up because there was a '69 Camaro in there. There was a Boss 302 Mustang, and there was not a Ford Galaxy. I'm sorry, it was a Chrysler product. I can't remember exactly which one, but it was really cool. We ended up talking to this guy who had remember the one with the Plymouth, Plymouth, the red one, the convertible?
The Chrysler
Imperial. Oh, the Chrysler Imperial.
Yes.
This thing was amazing. The
Oh, my
driver's
gosh.
seats turned left and right to let you
they
out.
swiveled
out. There was a built-in OEM record player.
OEM.
There was a record player in this car. And it was specifically built to have anti-skip technology in a record player from the 50s. I think it was a 59, right? Something of that nature. I got a picture of it somewhere.
57 to 59.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was really cool, in those old cars, the high beams were a button on the left or a button on the floor.
Yeah.
Well, they had another button. The other button was actually to change the radio station.
That was crazy.
And this guy spent, he didn't say how much, but
yeah,
he spent an obscene amount of money restoring that car.
Well,
it was phenomenally restored. I'm really anal about paint. and
Oh.
I look for errors, and I
You
look
looked
for
down the
waviness.
edge of that thing?
That thing was smooth as
straight.
glass. It was better than stock, so it wouldn't be like a concourse level
No.
restoration. But it's what I would do. I would want
Oh.
it better than stock. It was the car. For me, it was that Imperial, and then the '55 shoebox. That was the cars for me. What about you?
Well, on that one though, I'd say that we asked the guy, how long have you had the car? He said he bought it 10 years ago, but he spent 5 years doing body off restoration. 5 years. I can't even imagine how much, like you said, I don't know how much money this guy spent, but when you take 5 years to restore something that beautiful,
Yep. Yeah, that's amazing.
I've never seen that car ever. And he says he takes it out to car shows, but I'd go to a lot of local car shows that I'll pop in. I don't attend. I mean, I don't. What do you say? Like when you go to show? I guess to show it.
Yeah.
I just go there to attend or to view. I've never seen that car. That was probably the most unique car. Probably if I had to pick of any car, I would probably pick that one.
Yeah.
There were some Broncos, those 2 Broncos that we saw that were
The
restored.
rest of mod Broncos with modern motors in, like
Yeah.
modern Ford, Coyote motors, they were Coyote motors. Beautiful.
They were really nice.
Those are 6-figure restorations.
Oh yeah,
Amazing. The
gorgeous.
interiors, that one with the distressed leather,
Oh my gosh.
stunning.
So that was cool. I would probably say the Imperial was my favorite because it's so unique. I've
Yeah.
never seen that before. There's a couple other cars that I've seen constantly. There's a Nova. It's all chromed out, like over the top, chromed out. There's a lot of other vehicles, but it was a cool little show. I mean, they had a lot of vehicles there for being in Buckley.
And there's a lot of people. Like, I didn't think Buckley would be
There was a lot of
the
people there.
bastion for that kind of show. There's a ton of people walking around.
Yeah.
And what I really loved about it, there's a lot of people walking around with their families.
Yes.
Lots of kids.
Lot of
lots
kids.
of kids and toddlers. They had They had an area in the center that was specifically set up for toddlers.
Oh yeah, they had
Yeah,
games
they had a
and
couple
stuff.
of them actually,
Yeah,
a couple
yeah.
of areas. So with games and stuff. So it was really a good family event. It was so cool. I
It was
love that.
cool.
Was a great day.
But I would say that I didn't see one of the kids touch the hood of a car. I didn't see that at all. The kids all put their hands behind their backs. They were good at that. John was going to go on.
Hold on.
What? John was going to
No,
go.
hold on. So if you want to know what that reference is, you got to listen to some earlier podcasts. That was about me touching the Lamborghini.
Yeah,
Urus.
it's in a couple episodes
Yeah.
ago.
Go back and listen. He's still butthurt about it.
Is that Lamborghini in Bellevue?
Yes.
Yes.
I was
When-
there.
when we were
That's
there.
right.
That's
You-
I was there.
Yeah.
John was there when that happened.
I'm the one that told you guys about it. The
He's
event.
still butthurt about it that I touched it. So
But you remember
he
how I
told the
touched
story
the
twice this
Yes.
week.
Yeah. Well, because we saw a Lamborghini Urus in the parking lot, and I walked up to Gene. I'm like, "Hey, did you feel the hood of the Urus?" I still can't believe you did it. Okay.
He's like, "Hey, Gene, do you go touch the Urus?" No, I didn't touch the Urus. It wasn't baby blue or whatever.
Yeah, and it
color.
didn't have carbon fiber,
If it-
so
yeah, it
there's
wasn't
no
carbon
reason
fiber.
to.
Otherwise, I would have rubbed my butt on it.
So Full Send John, he was going to come. He was going to come on the drive too.
Yeah, because we did it before, and I really enjoyed
Yeah,
that
he
ride.
really enjoyed it, and I forgot to turn on the PDR the time that
That's right.
that John went, and we were also booking it quite quickly within speed limits.
I was in the Black Wing.
Yeah, you were in the Black
You were
Wing.
in the
and,
you were 06, I think.
I was in the Z06. Yeah.
I was trying to keep up with you, but it
And
wasn't easy.
It was that was a blast, and so John was going to come with us too, and then John bailed. John's like, I don't know. I
Well,
got.
I
to
think
sleep
you know why he
in.
bailed.
I got to sleep in.
No,
I got to have.
it wasn't that.
Oh, that's what I remember.
Hans,
That's what I
remember?
heard too.
Yeah. that's-
Hans had told me about that night. Hans had a concert going in Olympia,
Oh, that's right.
and to go.
He
I live in
wasn't sleeping
Kirkland. You
in.
guys keep forgetting. I live in Kirkland, and you guys aren't exactly next door to me. To go
I mean-
all the way down there, and my daughter had just arrived back from New Zealand,
Mm.
and she said she would go with me. And as you guys know, you have never seen. Well, you've seen my daughter Jean once, but my daughter doesn't do a lot of things with me because she was busy at UW, then went off to New Zealand for 10 months. She'd just gotten back a week or two ago and said, "Yeah, John, I'll go with you to see your friend Hans. You've mentioned him many times." So I kind of had that commitment. So
So I mean, he has a legitimate excuse.
Yeah,
right?
but we can't let it slide.
I know, he has
what kind of friend
legitimate.
What kind of friend would we be?
So I'll give him a pass, kind of.
all right.
But then John's like, I'll meet you at the car show, right? So he's going to meet us at the car show. we're at the car show. I think
John, you know we got to give you rest your crap, bro. That's what we have to do.
I think John said I'll be there
11
like,
o'clock, I thought.
11 o'clock. Excuse me.
Because that's what you guys said
Yeah,
you'd be there till.
I'll be there at 11 o'clock. So I'm like, okay, we'll be done with the drive, and we'll be back in Buckley. And so you had texted me or something, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna be a few minutes late or something, but we'll be there around 11:15. And John's like, all right, I'll see you in a bit or something. I have to go back and look at the text. I don't remember. So then, like an hour later, it's noon. We got our friends Tom and Karen walking by. Yep, call out here on the podcast.
See you guys.
And John sends text like, hey, I'm just leaving. And I'm like, it's noon.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
and we had already walked to one end
we'd
of the show.
already walked for a while.
Hey, guys, you don't know this situation, but remember, I now have a 23-year-old living in my home. And so things don't always happen the way you want when you've got somebody else living.
What I see is some deflection going on.
No, well, hey, it's the truth. I was hoping she'd come with me to the car show. She says, no, Dad, at the last minute, she says, no, I think you better go on your own.
Yeah, he bailed.
And so I did go, if you recall, what happened?
You started coming.
Yeah, I did. I was in the car.
So he finally started coming, and then about
From Kirkland, remember? Kirkland.
right after you left, whatever time that was, let's say it was 1 o'clock. I don't remember. You had left. I'm sitting in my car. I'm letting it cool off because it's pretty hot that day.
Oh, yeah, by then it was pretty hot.
Yeah, it was pretty warm. And so then I get another text from John.
I thought it was a call this
Yeah,
time.
we talked. Yeah, you called me. That's right. I was sitting in the car and it came through. And John's like, I'm sitting in traffic, 405.
I'm on I-405. I had just passed I-90, which
Yeah, so
that's not far from Kirkland.
He's
It's
got
been a half an hour.
He's got a long way to go. So
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, forget it. I'm leaving. Like, I'd already been there for an hour and a half or whatever. So
Yeah.
so John bailed on us on both activities.
But I called
that
and
day.
let you know that,
He
hey,
did.
it doesn't make
All
sense.
right. Well, okay.
I traveled from
We'll give it
Kirkland
to you.
to
Okay.
I-90, half an hour, bumper to bumper. And as you know, there's
You got a
construction on
better
405.
plan.
We'll let you slide.
Okay, and that's the story. I didn't go, but I did go. I did bring my daughter. We went all the way to Olympia.
How was
Actually,
that with
she
Hans?
drove.
Was that
It was
good?
really good.
Yeah.
It was a really nice place,
Hans is
too.
a good bass player, too.
Very good.
He is a
Cool.
really good bass player.
And it was a really nice place. It was one of the nicest places he's ever played at.
Oh,
A big
nice.
place.
Good.
And my daughter drove all the way there.
Oh, good.
Because she had,
And the band
trying to
he
get
plays
her.
with is really good. You should actually listen to them. They're actually really good.
Yeah, I've been saying that. I need to plan a date to go down. And
So that's
listen.
what I did.
Okay,
Okay.
so, John,
Yes.
tell us about the track night, because you did a track night that
I did.
neither one of us got to do. So why don't you tell us about
Well,
how that went?
I did a track night. I think you guys know I really enjoy going to the SCCA track night in America. Both of you guys have joined me many times. I forget what the reason was for both of you not.
I was out of town.
Yeah, but Gene wasn't there, and I don't know if he was out of town.
I have no idea.
I think he was trimming his toenails or something.
Ah,
I mean,
okay.
something like that.
Probably
okay.
true.
Well, anyways, we went. I went there, and Rob was there as well.
Oh, yeah, Rob, who is now a.k.a. Johnny.
He is Johnny.
Oh yes, as of
Yeah,
today.
As of today, Rob now his nickname is now Johnny.
And somebody else confirmed that he looks like Johnny.
I know.
Somebody
What's up,
pretty.
Johnny? No, we tried to call him out, but he didn't listen.
Oh,
That's
he's over there.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. Johnny's right there.
Yeah.
Speaking
Wow.
of the devil.
Amazing that we have celebrity O'Connell right here. Continue. Sorry.
I was going to say, as you know, who actually agreed with that statement. Someone pretty,
Yeah.
Yep.
someone who knows Johnny. I don't know if but
Yeah. So tell us about SCCA.
okay. So I went to the event. It was a really great event. It was a beautiful day at the Ridge Motorsports Park, which is one of our favorite tracks, the closest track that we have to us. Again, it's closer to Rob. It's closer to Gene and
Yep.
Dan, but hey, I still 2 hours away. We got there, and our good friend David Kim, right?
Yep.
David Kim was there. This time he brought his Porsche Turbo. He did really good times. As a matter of fact, I think he posted pictures about it. It was a good event, went really well, and you guys weren't there. We did our best to represent the club.
What was your? What were you driving?
I had to. I'll be talking about why I was driving the Blackwing. Unfortunately, not the Z06.
Not the Z06.
Thanks to Gene. It's Gene's fault why I wasn't driving the Z06.
I did not break the Z06.
No,
Just
but he made
to
me
be clear.
No, I didn't say you broke it. I said thanks to Gene. You guys may recall that a few
To me, that
weeks
means
ago.
that Gene broke it.
Yeah, well, I want to correct that. Gene didn't break it, but Gene certainly made me aware. Well, it's because of Gene that I didn't have the Z06 at that particular track day.
Which we can get to that story later on.
Yes.
Because we gotta.
How was the? We'll just kind of wrap up the track time. So
Yes,
were you happy with how you did?
not really happy, but
Oh.
I got 158.9 or 159.
That's
so
actually
not
a solid time.
That's a solid time for
That's
that
a
car.
really good
159.
time.
I wasn't
Yeah.
really happy. But anyways, 159.
Yeah, but
That's a good time in the Blackwing.
on the Blackwing, that's probably as fast as we're gonna get.
I thought I had
you know.
158 before, but I got
Just- I mean-
159.
Man, 158, 159. I've had
It's
a
close.
159, and a pro driver had my car, and he was 2 seconds faster than me. So
What's
I
up,
think
Johnny?
The car doesn't have a ton. I
We
don't
have,
think-
we have our friends Johnny.
Hey, there's Johnny
There's
O'Connell.
Johnny. He's
Johnny
walking by.
O'Connell,
Johnny
that's
and Nina are walking
Yeah.
by.
So I think, yeah. So I think we don't have more than probably two, maybe max 3 seconds. Like if a pro driver was driving that car.
That's solid, John.
It is solid.
That's a
158,
really good
Again,
time.
remember, I had David Kim let me know that he had one of his best track days.
Yeah.
And I like to be a little,
But you're it's relative though, right?
Yeah.
You can't look at the time. It has to be relative to the car that you're in.
Correct.
So, anyway, I think that's super solid.
Thanks.
And I'm
Yep.
super happy that I missed that. I'm sorry. I'm super
Wow.
sad.
thanks a lot.
Well, that's a Freudian slip.
Oh my God. I hated that I missed that because I actually had to get a refund on that because I was going to be out of town.
Yeah.
I'd actually got a super duper special. Like I think I only paid like $100. Like there's a couple of coupons that were floating around. If you change it, they give you a refund, right? If you cancel it so far out, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to cancel it because I have all those coupons,
Yeah, right.
and if I re-register, then
It'll
I don't
cost
have all
more.
the coupons.
Exactly.
And so I talked to somebody, and they took care of me. So I was able to re-register with the same coupons and get the discount later.
That's nice.
So, cool beans. So, we'll get to the main topic of the episode, and it's going to be something to do with vehicle accidents that don't have anything to do with something bad, something positive came out of it, or Karens.
That is a
It's such a wide.
that is such a wide. So Karens and or car accidents that turned into
Well, they're
something
both-
good for someone.
They
okay?
both start with K's.
You were definitely in the army.
Oh,
Oh wait, so was I.
you were
Never
too.
mind.
Okay, I'll start this off, okay? I had a buddy named John, and he had 5 acres of property, and we had built a motorcycle track at his house on his property. It was great. He rode there, his sons rode there, I rode there, my wife would bring her quad. I think his wife, Beth, might have rode the quad there. And then we also had some other friends, Nathan, and so anyway, it's mainly family or very close friends that would go over there. I don't know. We'd probably been riding there. We'd only ride maybe once every other weekend or so, and we'd only ride for maybe a couple hours. So 5 acres, anybody knows anything about a motorcycle track, 5 acres is like nothing. Plus they had their house on there and their shops. So the size of the track is really small. So you can't like spend hours and hours because it's just too small to do anything. I don't remember the time frame, but I'm going to say that we had been riding there for several months that we had been riding there. And at some point, someone had called the cops. And so the cops came over, but there's no noise. They weren't doing anything wrong, but the cops had to respond. And they came over and they talked and talked to John, and he's like, hey, there's only a couple bikes here. And the police came and they're like, I can't even hear you guys from the road. Like, I don't even hear anything. We're not citing you. You're not doing anything wrong. Well, the same people, they called like the next time they called. The cops, hey, just be aware, we're not citing you, but there's someone like not really happy with what you're doing, and they can't tell you who it was, right? So
Privacy reasons, yeah.
these people, at some point, they decided, hey, we're not making anywhere with the police. I want to take action, something else. They filed a grievance with the city council. The city council had a hearing that we had to come talk at. Me, being an analytical, technical individual, I wanted to come prepared with data. I'm always talking about data-driven decisions, data talking points, stuff that's not subjective. I want to be objective as much as possible. So I got a sound meter. I'm taking recordings around the property, on the track, in front of his house. So I'm taking all this data. I did all this research for the county that we live in, the city that we lived in, and the state. Took all this about what are the requirements about tracks, like what's allowed, because some places of the state you can't have a personal track. Some places in the county you can, but some you can't. So anyway, I do all this research, okay? So we go to the hearing. It's about them. It's my friend's property that the complaint is against, but I'm the guy, the technical guy that has all the data stuff. So I show up in my suit and tie, come well presented. I mean, if I'm going to do a presentation, I need to be well presented. I've got my laptop. I've got all my slides, PowerPoint built out, everything. I've got all my talking points written down. I'm ready to go. So I walk in and we see the people who are complaining, and it's a couple. They come up to John and said, "Is this your neighbor? I mean, is this your lawyer?" And so John's like, he didn't say no, but he didn't say yes either. His response was, "I brought someone here who can talk about the facts of the case."
I bet you they're crappy.
So they're probably worried, right? I think we get to speak first. We do. I get to speak first. So like John introduced himself, say, "Hey, I've got this individual who rides here and he's got information to present." So then I stand up, introduce myself. I live in the same city. I introduce myself, and then I pull up my PowerPoint and I start going through my talking points of the decibels, what the sound requirements are, and all this stuff. Based on all the statutes and requirements I could find, we're well below anything. So we're not breaking any type of rules. So they thank the city council, thanks me, blah, blah, blah.
Does your friend John speak at all, or just you?
John just introduced himself, and I think he might have said, "Hey, I've got
you to the wolves."
Well, maybe. I mean, but he said, "Hey, I only have friends and family." So he talked a few minutes, but then he handed it to me, and I did all the data talking, right? So I get done, and then these two people, the couple, they stand up, and their first thing that they do is they said, "I have a video I want to show." We're like, "Oh, God." Okay, so they're standing up. So let me give you a little context of the setting. John's property is at the base of a hill, and behind him, I don't know the height of the hillside behind him, but I'm going to say it's 500 feet. Okay, maybe 500 feet. That kind of goes up, and these people live on the edge of this cliff that overlooks the property. So I'm sure there's sound that kind of travels up from his house up that hillside. So anyway, they're like, "We have a video." And so I lean over to John and I say, "Oh, they probably videotaped us riding, and they're going to try to say that we had more people than John said." Because we only, really, I would say 99.9% of the time, we only had 4 or 5 people ever riding. And they were talking numbers like, "Oh, they've got like 10, 20 people," which we never did. But they're going to have some video. So I'm like, man, was there some time that there was more people? So I'm trying to figure out what they're going to show. They put on the video and they show us riding, but it's only like 2 or 3 people that's on the track. And they're trying to say that we're being too loud, is what they're trying to say, that we're breaking a noise ordinance, which we don't. But they show the videotape, and as they're playing the videotape, an airplane on their video flies over their house.
No, and that's probably taken off from SeaTac, so it's probably not that high either, right?
Well, I would say it's not even that low. It's pretty. Oh, I'm sorry. I take that back.
Yeah.
It's pretty low in the sky.
Yeah.
Right, because they're going to land at SeaTac, right? Actually, this one might be this might have been at McCord.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Either one, the plane was still pretty low.
Yeah.
The plane was really loud. As I heard it, I'm like, "Oh, there goes an airplane." But I didn't make the connection, but someone on the city council did. They said, "Can you pause that?" And so they paused it, and they said, "Can you rewind it?" And I'm like, "What are they doing?" They said rewind, and they played it again. And they said, "Is that an because you can't see it, you just hear it."
Yeah.
And they said, "Is that an airplane going over?" And they're like, "Yeah, it is an airplane that's going over." And they're like, "The airplane is louder than the motorcycles that you're complaining about, and the airplanes fly over here all the time." And they're like, "Yeah." And they're like, dismissed.
Did you ever have a problem with them after that?
So, two things. As we're leaving there, they're pretty frustrated, right? They're frustrated. She's a nurse. This lady is a nurse. And she came up to us and said, you guys, me and John, you guys are terrible parents. I work in the ER and I see what happens to people on motorcycles, and you guys are terrible parents for letting your kids ride out there. Like, she goes off on us about being. So we're just like,
Yeah, so hold on. So she thought you guys were partners.
no. She didn't think that.
I'm just kidding.
But the fact that she was now trying to berate us that we're
Yeah.
terrible people because how dare we let our kids ride a motorcycle. So that
But there were no
happened.
kids on the motorcycles, right?
Oh, yeah, like John's kids.
Oh, John. Okay.
But
yeah,
his
yeah.
kids are teenagers.
Can I interrupt for a sec?
No.
Let's make it clear. It's not. It's a different John. It's not me.
Yeah, it's a different John. It's a friend. It's a friend John.
Thank you.
And
I'm not a friend now.
A different friend, John.
it's a different friend John. Okay. So we're like, okay, I do not want to get into an altercation with this Karen, right? I don't want to. So they just leave. Now here's the beauty of this story. A couple of weeks later, maybe it was a month, I don't remember. Very shortly thereafter, John and Beth get a notice in the mail from City Council. They get a citizens award for like being great citizens of the city.
That's outstanding.
I'm like, we should print that off and go stick it
And
on
go
their
stick it
door.
on the front door. That was the city's way of sticking it to the Karen.
Yeah, they're like,
That's
look,
really what
these
it
people
was.
are good people. They don't cause problems. You know, the police never go to their house. Like, they're good. They're doing good things, right?
Yeah.
That was probably my best Karen story. I've had a few other ones, but that's probably the best one I've ever had. And it was great that they actually get an award. So anyway, there's my Karen story.
You know, I was going to do one about a wreck that I had, but I think I'm going to do something different.
Okay.
Because I was reminded of, in my house in Florida, when I was living there, I used to have a 1974 Chevrolet Crew Cab C30 pickup truck. Now, this thing had a blown 454, and for whatever reason, I decided it needed to be fully restored. I don't know why I was stupid, but I did it. Full off, frame off restoration, cut the frame, notched it, new suspension in the front,
We've talked
notched
about this
suspension
before.
in the back.
Haven't we talked about this before?
No, I don't know if we talked about this with my.
Oh, not on podcast. We've talked about it before.
Yeah, we talked about it before,
Yeah,
though.
okay.
Yeah, so this thing was fully rebuilt, and it was really great. It had a 468 in it. It was a 690 solid lift cam. This thing was just a nasty. You blip the throttle while driving down the road, that rear end's going to slide out from underneath you. It was really, really nasty, and I loved it. But I always had some carburetor problems. I don't know if it was the gas in Florida or what. So I was constantly having to take the carburetor off, clean the float bowls, put it back on.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's just the gas was so bad. And also because I didn't drive it all the time, it would kind of get lacquered up sometimes. Sometimes it'd be months before driving it. But I would often, just to go out there on the weekends, fire it up, let it warm up, and blip the throttle a little bit. So it may be running for 10 or 15 minutes if I didn't drive the thing. Well, this thing was nasty loud. It had a big 3-inch exhaust. They came and dumped out, not in the back, but right underneath the cab.
Oh my gosh.
So it reverberated incredibly loudly.
Oh my gosh.
And so I get this notice from our HOA that I have got.
I love HOAs.
I can't stand HOAs. That I have to. It's a kind of a noise ordinance issue that I need to.
This is where?
This is in Tampa.
Tampa.
Yeah. Well, technically it's in Land O'Lakes, so I have to stop revving up my engine, and the way it was written was something to the effect of stop revving up your engine at all manners or all hours of the day, which is actually not even factually true.
But they're trying.
But
They're trying to cover it.
Yeah, for sure. So I called the president and I said, okay, help me understand what's going on. Well, the neighbors who are across the street from my house was a park, and the neighbors across from that are the ones that are complaining. And I'm like, which ones? Well, I can't say, which is fine. I understand
Yeah.
that. And I said, well, I am below the noise ordinance because I had a cop neighbor. He's like, no, your dB's fine. And they said, yeah, but if we get more complaints, it may meet the Land O'Lakes noise ordinance, but we could just call it a nuisance. And I said, huh. I said, so we could go to court and we could fight it out legally then, right? And he said, yeah. I said, okay, we may do that. So I called a buddy of mine who's a lawyer,
Oh
and my
my
buddy
gosh.
was like, "Yeah, Gene, we could do that. You spend a lot of money to probably lose, just because HOAs, especially in Florida, are very you tiptoe around them for whatever reason.
Yeah, they're
They
very
have-
draconian.
They have power. So I called him back, the president back. I didn't let him know I talked to my lawyer. So I called the president back, and I said, "So what's going to happen if I don't stop?" He said, "Well, we may have to fine you." And I said, "I won't pay fines, and we may have to try to remove the vehicle." I said, "I can put it in the garage. You won't get to it. So we can play the game, or we can find a nice way to work with each other." And I said, "But I got a question for you. Don't you have a Harley?" And he said, "Yes."
Oh.
I said, "Do you ever ride your Harley?" He said, "Every weekend." I said, "Has anybody given you a letter complaining about the loud sound of your Harley?" And his mouth went, or he went silent.
Yeah.
And he said,
Yeah, because he's not driving an electric Harley.
"Nope." And he said, "I can see where you're getting at, Gene. What are you thinking?" I said, "Listen, man."
What are you thinking?
And no, but he wasn't being rude about it too.
No,
He
I
was just
know,
like,
but it's-
what do you think? Like,
He
I
realizes-
clearly had an idea where I was going with this. I said, "Listen, I won't do it," because sometimes I did do it at night, and I recognize that. Sometimes I did it at night, 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I said, "How about this? I won't do the revving, or I won't go out there and tune the car or do anything on the weekdays, or even the weekend, or the weekdays after 7, and on the weekends after 10." And I said, "I think that's fair."
Yeah.
And on the rare occasion I may go to a car show that comes home at 11 or 12, I'll do my best just to coast in and let it do all that. And I'll send you an email to let you know. And he said, "That's fine. I think we can work with that." I said, "Great. Put that in an email and send it to me." He said, "I can't do that." I said, "Well, if you don't, we may end up having this conversation again." And he said, "No, Gene, you have my word. It'll be fine." And to his credit, I never had another issue again. The next 4 years that we lived there, I never had an issue. So he kind of carried out in the beginning, but later on he was very kind and nice. Thank you. He was very kind and nice. He would come over and check out the car or check out the truck a little bit, and then when I blew that motor up, I say I blew it up. It actually was built incorrectly. The cam button that was holding the cam in place from walking was not an actual cam button. It was a machined piece of metal that the guy had just jammed in there.
Oh.
So eventually that wore down because it wasn't hard enough. It wasn't harder metal than the cam. So the cam wore it down. It was like aluminum. So the cam just wore it down, and then the cam had nothing to keep it from walking in the block. So it walked in the block and just wore out the cam. And it wouldn't start anymore. So pulled it apart, kept all the good pieces, and bought a 496 big block from Blueprint Racing Engines. Dumped it in there. It was still loud, but I would say it was probably 10 to 15 decibels less. It wasn't as rowdy either. So
I bet everybody was super happy then.
yeah, probably. Except for me. Like with the other one, when I put it in drive and I floored it, or even give it a blip of the throttle, the rear would come out. In the new motor, the 496, still had almost 600 foot-pounds of torque. You'd floor it and it wouldn't even spin the tires. You put it in first gear, and it would go crazy. You pop it into second, it would go crazy. Put it into drive. It was incredibly good driving and vehicle after that. But I missed the original motor. So that's my Karen story. Turned out pretty good though. Yeah, if he didn't have a Harley, I would not have been able to make that argument.
I wasn't even going to talk about this, but since you mentioned HOA, I'll just mention it before John. In my last HOA, my last neighborhood before I moved where I live now, we had our RV. We had lived in this neighborhood. I lived in this neighborhood for 7 years at this point. We had an RV the whole time. And at some point, the board, who happened to be a guy that lived behind me, decided that they didn't want to have RVs in the neighborhood again. Now, mind you that in this neighborhood, there's only 3 people out of 150 homes that actually had an RV. And I'd been there for 7 years, maybe 8 years at that point, and they've never had a problem with RVs. As long as it's behind the fence, you can have an RV. But these new board decided that being able to see an RV reduced the value of the homes. To me, that's about the stupidest thing, because my RV was I don't even talk about cost, but it was a very expensive RV. And the other 2 that were in the neighborhood were also very expensive RVs. So if we had something that was like a rundown piece of crap that was falling apart, that had a blue tarp on it, okay, that's probably makes. But we had very nice RVs behind the fence, but they decided that having an RV behind the fence was no longer good enough. You have to get rid of RVs. That's actually what caused me to go find the property where I live now, is because they said either you get rid of the RV or we're going to start fining you. Okay, well, I'm not going to get rid of the RV. Let me go find a place. And so that's because my back neighbor was not happy that I had an RV and complained about it to the board, and then the board forced me to look for options. That ended up causing me to find the property to build where we live. That was a bad Karen story, but it ended up great because I ended up in a much better place. My house is much better than I had before. I've got all the room and the land to spread out on, got to build my house. So even though that was also, it started out pretty bad and I was not happy and I thought was going to have to go to lawyers as well, it actually turned around really good. So I forgot about that, Karen, but since he mentioned about HOAs, I despise him as well. So, okay, so that's, both Gene and I have talked about some Karen stories. Now, I do have a kind of a little one about an accident, but I'm going to give the ball over to John and give John a chance.
I was going to talk about an accident too.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, it's going to be a Karen story. You won't believe this.
We got Karen
That's
stories.
like a double, man.
Let me explain.
I like it.
I don't.
Hit it.
She's not called Karen, but I also have an HOA issue. And you're gonna laugh, you guys.
No.
You guys have been to my home. You both know where I live. It's a HOA issue.
Could not have planned.
With my where I live. The sound of my Z06. I've shared this with you guys both before.
Yeah.
You were with me.
Sure.
I went to ORP.
Yeah.
I came home late that night at 10 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
And I had, as you know, it's very tight getting my Z06 in the, because the black wing's also in there. And
Very, very
so
tight.
I had to go forward, back a few times. The neighbor in front, which I never met, it's 10 o'clock at night or later, 10:15, 10 o'clock. He walks up to me and makes a big issue about, are you working on your engine? I just drove 5 hours from Oregon Raceway Park, just got home. I'm trying to park my car. Sorry, it's a little tight. I'm not working on my engine. It's not. It's loud. It doesn't have. It's stock exhaust. I'm not trying to make it loud. Well, we have a young baby and all. You guys have heard the story from me. The long baby, baby's waking up, and well, I'm sorry. I'll try and be more careful, but it's a stock engine. I can't change the sound. So that was. This is HOA related, and then there was an event at Exotics, and to go to Exotics, we have to get up really early.
Ah, yes.
We have to, for sure.
I
Because you have
got
to
up
be in line at what time?
7:15
at
depends,
Trader
7:15,
Joe's.
7:30, yeah.
At Trader Joe's. So at 7 o'clock, I back up my Z06 outside in the driveway, and it was dirty because I hadn't washed it. We had been to Oregon Raceway Park.
Yep.
So this is a few days later from that. And so I'm trying to clean, and I left the car running.
Oh, man.
And I'm trying to clean it, and I hear some yelling, and I can't, and I'm looking, I can't see it. And then finally I turn around behind me at the end of my driveway. There's some visitor parking lot. There's a building, a brand new building. There's a lady on the second floor holding a baby saying, turn that thing off.
Of course she's holding her baby.
And she was. And I don't know if
it's the same lady.
No, it's a different house now, not the one right in front of me.
Okay, so this is a different.
it's a different Karen.
It's a different Karen.
And I figured maybe her name was Karen. I don't know what her name was, but at least she's a female. The guy across the street is a guy. So I'm saying it's a Karen story. I don't know what the hell her name is. So I got 2 complaints within a week. And so
I'm trying to contain myself right now. I'm literally trying to contain
This is gold. This is
freaking gold.
John doesn't even know it. He's giving me gold. Doesn't even know it.
So I don't know what her name is. And again, I had the car running for a few minutes. I said, let's get out of here. I closed my garage door and I left. But she was not happy from what I can tell. Well, to continue the story.
So it did.
Well,
did either one of those people, have you ever
contact my HOA? Thank God, not yet.
Oh, okay.
I was the secretary treasurer of our HOA, so
They're like, you're out of here.
But no.
Oh my gosh.
But that's made me consider looking at other
options,
moving out, which is similar to what you said. I'm thinking now I need to find some other place. I need more room. This is not working for me. And then, of course, the engine being
especially
loud.
with the other potential
Uh,
purchases.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other issue I have to bring up, since it's all tied.
Yeah.
Maybe my car's making more noise because of Gene's making me aware of this problem. Gene didn't cause the problem, but Gene made me aware of this
I
problem.
think Gene caused the problem myself.
That my car was noisy. It had this ticking sound. So
which is a known issue with Z06. It's a known issue. So keep going. Yep.
But hold on. Let me add to that, though. So,
Okay.
You know how I found out about the sound, right?
I let him drive my car.
I know
With his son. With his son.
Oh no. So John comes over to the house one day because he wants me to drive the car. He wants me to show Timothy. Timothy is my 17-year-old.
This wasn't planned, though. I
No,
thought
it
I'd be in
wasn't
the
planned.
car with you.
Yeah, I know.
And I was.
He was like, you know, take Timmy and let's just do a little drive.
A little
okay,
drive.
That was so cool. And
A
we
little
did.
drive.
So he took my
It
car.
A little drive.
It wasn't a little drive.
It was a little drive.
A long drive. It was a long drive.
The accelerator. It was the short drive. We've done big
Was
ones.
no, but again, I would have preferred being in the car with you.
Oh, yeah, for
I
sure.
thought it was going to be a short drive with Timmy.
Yeah.
Let's go see Timmy's friend. I mean, come on, this was a long drive.
So we get in the car, and the accelerator magically just gets floored. I don't know what happens. It just does. It's weird.
It's got a magnet on the
It's
bottom.
got a magnet on the bottom. It's just an odd thing. And it's an amazing car. If you don't know about the Z06s, obviously you guys do. For those listening, it's an amazing car. We have some fun in it. We come back, and then we're listening. We lift up, John shows us the engine bay. And it was after I drove the car, and we're listening to the engine, or looking at the engine, that I heard the tick.
Ticking, yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it was me. I mean, it actually wasn't, but
No.
I figured I'd give you that little tidbit because I figured you would throw that in there. But that's when I first heard it.
And
Now,
then
had
Gene
you-
asked me.
Had you heard about that before? Had you
It had
heard
the
it?
sound, yes. But Gene asked me, well, how long have you had this? Hey, did I have it when I first? I mean, I picked up the car January 3rd at the museum in
Yep.
Bowling Green, Kentucky. We're inside the building when you turn it on. I'm sorry, I do not remember the ticking.
Yeah.
So, and then I was obviously you're pretty excited. Your new car, I'm driving it home. I don't remember the ticking.
And you don't remember it.
But definitely, when Gene's, it does got a funny sound. So yes, that's when I was enlightened, thanks to Gene.
Yeah.
I have maybe that's why Karen didn't like that ticking sound. I don't know what Karen had. Oh, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know her name is Karen, but that lady with the baby.
John, we got to explain to you what Karen means, brother.
Oh, that's so.
I'm not. I wasn't in the military, so I'll throw that out.
No.
That's not it either. We'll tell you we're done.
Okay.
Since you're talking about the ticking, so is that something that's been dealt
Thank,
with
yes,
now?
it's thank God it has.
Sweet.
I had brought it to the dealership before, and the gentleman who helped me, he did the track alignment, did a few things. I said there was a ticking sound. We don't know what that issue is. Then I'd gotten some more information and found out no, there's definitely an issue. There's a bulletin.
Yeah.
I brought it back. I dealt with a different lady, a lady who was aware of the Cadillac V Club, who I was, and she said she'd help me. And so I left her the car, and sure enough, they found we have this bulletin. We're gonna be able to work on it because you know this, Dan. I was hoping to do something to the car when I took it apart.
Yeah,
that
intake
didn't work
manifold.
out. But
yeah, that was a bummer.
anyway, so I left the car there on a Thursday or Friday. A week later, which was reasonable, I thought, I got the car back.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
And it solved the problem. No more ticket.
My car has got a little bit of it does have a tick, but it's not to the level of sound that yours does, which they will require them to go in and make a change on cylinder 5.
Yeah, it's cylinder 5.
Cylinder 5. So mine's not near like yours, and so mine's like
Well,
it's
just so you
pretty
know,
quiet.
they had to get some special equipment
from
from GM
They
sent to
do.
them to dealership to be able to record the sound, and the
they have to match
frequency
it against a sound wave
yeah.
to determine if that is indeed what it is,
If it's out of
because
spec.
then they have to go in and tear it open. I mean, it's a pretty involved process at that point. But one thing that we
What,
found
if-
out,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no, go. No,
uh,
no.
one thing that we just found out yesterday
Yeah.
is that there's actually, they ran it for 24 hours straight. I don't know what.
A motor that was ticking. They ran it 24 hours straight.
Yeah, one that has this problem going. They ran it for 24 hours. I don't know at what stress level, but the way that he described it seemed like it's.
Yeah, knowing GM, they stressed it.
They stressed it.
Yeah.
And he is one of the engineers
Yep.
is overly confident that there's no issue whatsoever from a performance standpoint or from a durability standpoint. It's just a noise irritation issue.
Yeah,
So
essentially after they took the motor apart, they found that there was no damage to
yeah, nothing.
at all. And I guess the easiest way to think about it, and this is kind of how I thought about it, is as the cam is going around, where the cap is misaligned by like 80 microns or something of that nature, it creates a cavitation, and that cavitation kind of pops.
The
Right.
oil bubble pops.
Oil bubble, right? It
Yeah,
pops.
it pops.
So it's actually not it's not metal to metal at all.
It's not.
really just popping of this
This
compressed
oil bubble. It's crazy.
And the way I describe it is, if you've ever had your neck crack, like you go to a chiropractor, they crack your neck. They're not cracking your neck. They're actually pushing air bubbles out of your veins here, and the cracking is the air bubbles being popped, pop, 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 pop. That's the analogy that I would use. And when I said that, the engineer said, "Yeah, that's exactly right. That's really what happened." And now they've got a whole tool that preloads it correctly.
Yeah,
They've also reclocked the cam, so so they think they fixed the problem for sure.
Yeah.
And based on what he said, it sounds like it.
My plan will be I guess it really depends if I keep the car beyond 3 years, because it's got a 3-year warranty. So I'm going to be using it like you should for the next 3 years or 2.5, I guess at this point. How long? No, I'm coming up
Yours
on
is
a
23.
year.
I'm at 24. Yours is
so
23.
I'm coming up on my first year, so I've got 2 more years left. It really depends on what happens with the next car that's in the line that's coming down from the ZR1. If I end up keeping the Z06, then I'm going to get an extended warranty just to make sure I've got coverage. I know that he said that it's not a problem, but who knows what will happen in 5 years. So I'll probably get an extended warranty if I want to keep the car longer. But if I end up trading it in and going with something else, then I'm just not going to worry about it.
It's great stories, John.
Yeah, that was good.
I would call this an HOA.
You had Karen.
Yeah.
And so then I guess we'll save accident stuff, because I got a couple too.
Yeah,
we'll save that
accidents
for
next time,
we'll save another time. But John, full send John, it was great having you on.
Thanks. It was great being here.
I
Thank
appreciate you contributing. It was fun having a third guest. Sometime in the future, it'd be cool if we had a couple of other people around the table where we're just chatting and stuff. We'll see how that goes.
Maybe like the 20th episode, we'll do a round table. It'll be
I have a round table.
A couple hours. And
that'd be kind of cool.
like that. Yeah,
yeah, that'd be cool. Well, I guess that'll wrap it up. Thanks, Gene. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to you later.
All right, guys.